Sir Ivan by Maud L. Radford, King Arthur and His Knights. Okay, so here we go. Remember, the B is for brave and the R is for reckless. Among Arthur's Knights of the Round Table was one who was a mixture of good and bad, as indeed most people are. His name was Sir Ivan, brave, kind-hearted, and merry, but at the same time fickle, sometimes forgetful of his promises, and inclined to make light of serious things. One night, in the early spring, the knights and ladies of Arthur's court were sitting in the dining hall. Sir Ivan was telling one of his experiences with the Black Knight. It was when I was very young, he said. Indeed, I had just been made a knight. Someone told me of the wicked Black Knight who lived and still lives in a wood a long way from here. Knowing that he did much evil, I determined to kill him. I rode to the wood where he lived, and in which I found a marble platform. In the middle of it was a sunken space holding a fountain. I walked to this, and following the directions of some writing in which was on the stone, picked up a cup that lay at hand, and filling it with water, poured it into the fountain. Then a great storm wind and rain arose, and when it was at its height, the Black Knight rode up and began to attack me. We fought for a little while, but he easily overthrew me. Thinking me dead, he rode back, leaving me on the ground, but after a time I was able to mount my horse and went back to my mother's castle. At this moment, the king and queen entered, unperceived by anyone except Sir Ivan. The young man, who was always polite, sprang to his feet. Then the other knights rose. Sir Kay, who was not always sweet tempered, said to Sir Ivan, "We all know that you're very polite, but you have more courtesy than bravery." At that, Sir Ivan said, "I was almost a boy when the Black Knight overthrew me, but I could conquer him now." "It is very easy to say that after you have eaten," said Sir Kay. "Almost any knight feels brave and self-satisfied when he has had a good supper of venison." The king asked what the conversation was about, and Sir Ivan repeated the story of his adventure, adding, "And Sir King, I crave your permission to set forth tomorrow to slay this Black Knight, who is a pest in the land." There he is. "I have heard of this man," said the king, "and have often thought of sending some one to punish him. But he lives far away, and it has been necessary heretofore to right first the wrongs nearest home. Yet now his evil deeds and persecutions must cease. Tomorrow, a company of us will set forth and conquer him and all his people." The king named some half dozen of his knights, Sir Ivan among them, who were to undertake this adventure. Sir Ivan was displeased. He thought that the adventure should be his alone, so he rose in the middle of the night and stole away unattended, determined to go in advance of the others to kill the Black Knight. It did not occur to him that in proving himself brave, he was also proving himself disobedient. He rode forth in the darkness, humming merrily to himself. After many days of travel, Sir Ivan reached the forest, in the midst of which was the castle of the Black Knight. He rode to the platform of stone. The Black Knight appeared. He recognized the armor of Sir Ivan and said, "Ha ha! I see I did not kill you before, but you shall not escape me this time." "The best man shall win," said Sir Ivan cheerfully. Then the two began a great combat. Their swords clashed so that the noise of the fountain was drowned. They fought so eagerly that they were not even aware of the storm. It was not long before the Black Knight began to grow weak from the many powerful and death-dealing strokes from Sir Ivan's sword. At last, seeing that he was mortally wounded, the Black Knight turned his horse and galloped in the direction of his castle. There he goes, right there. Great battle. Sir Ivan followed, but he could not quite catch up to the Black Knight, although gaining on him inch by inch. By the time the castle was moat was reached, Sir Ivan was only 5 feet behind. The horses thundered one after the other over the bridge. The Black Knight rode under the portcullis, or sharp iron gate, which was raised. The instant he was inside, the portcullis fell, in order to shut out Sir Ivan. But Sir Ivan had already passed beneath it. He sprang to his feet and drew his sword to renew his attack upon the Black Knight, but he was already dead and lay across his panting horse's back. Then Sir Ivan realized what his recklessness had cost him. There was alone, alone in a strange castle, the lord of which he had just killed. Soon the people of the castle would come and capture him, for he could not escape, since the portcullis was down. He ran into the castle and up the stairs leading to the turret. He was fast growing weak from his wounds he had received, and his armor was heavy. Moreover, in spite of his care, it clashed every step, and he was afraid someone would soon hear him. He had all but reached the top of the stairs when the door of the turret room opened, and a little maiden looked down upon him. He begged her not to cry out, and telling her who he was and what he had done, asked her to hide him. I will, she said, because you are brave and you are wounded, and because you have killed that wicked tyrant, the Black Knight. He does not own this castle at all. It belongs to a beautiful lady who is my mistress. He keeps her here a prisoner because she will not marry him. Then the little maiden led him into the turret room. She concealed his armor in a hole in the side wall and told him to hide himself between the two mattresses of the bed. Before he had time to do so, however, they heard a great noise in the courtyard, and looking down, saw that the body of the Black Knight had been discovered. Quick, she cried. The men know that the person who has killed our Lord must be here. You even know they have begun to search, for they all love the Black Knight, and although my mistress does not, and they will hang you if they find you. So Sir Ivan crept between the mattresses, and the little maiden hurried down the stairs. Presently, Sir Ivan heard men tramping up the turret steps. They often stopped, trying all the doors they had came to, and at last entered the room in which he lay. One of them, peering into the hole in the wall where his armor was, said, "Here his armor is." But another replied, "That is some that once was used by our master. There is no need to drag it into the light." Then they searched among all the furnishings of the room, but found no one. At last, as they were leaving, one of the men thrust his sword twice through the mattress. The second thrust cut deeply into Sir Ivan's arm, but as the knight was brave, he did not utter a cry. When the men had gone, he crept out and found that the cut in his arm and his other wounds were bleeding badly. Just then the little maiden came in with food. She cried out in alarm when she saw the blood, and quickly tore a piece of linen from her robe for bandages. When all the wounds had been carefully attended to, she gave him plentiful supper and promised to take care of him until there was a good opportunity for him to escape. All right, well, there you have it. That is the story read aloud by Mr. T.